to die. Call your mother and your father to let them know that you're dead. What the hell they should do? Say your prayers and beg for forgiveness. The reaper is rising and you're on the checklist. You can run, but you cannot hide. Your ending was closer and death is on your side. Your decision, your life has made it hard for you to survive. Count your chickens, accept your losses. You are the reason for the nails in your coffin. Shame, shame, I know your name.
We are back at the Rockin' Pod. I'm Joe. That's Sonny Hollywood Pooney. That right there. Author, photographer. Man, how many other? You got a ton of labels.
Dancer,
Weiss guy,
Weiss
entertainer.
Guy. Well, that's the Weiss guy. That's Mark Weiss. How you doing? It's good to see you.
You too, man.
So look, I knew this book was coming out.
Yeah.
Because I heard about it on satellite radio.
Yeah.
But the one that I was ready to talk about a lot was The Decade That Rocked.
Yeah.
So before we do that, I've got a few questions.
All right.
This being a KISS podcast, did KISS really have you arrested?
Well, they didn't personally have me arrested, but what happened was when I was 17, they were, they cracked off on all the bootleggers. So I used to sneak into the concerts and take pictures, and the next day sell them out of my high school locker and in front of the concerts. And I was part of the, running from the cops with all the guys with the shirts, and I ended up in a paddy wagon overnight. I was still in high school. And then the next day I went home and I'm like, all right, now what am I going to do? And I just looked at the Circus magazine and looked at the address, took the same train to New York City, an hour away from where I live. And I just met the art director. 6 months later, I have a centerfold of Steven Tyler in the magazine and started being their photographer. And then ironically enough, fast forward, then I started getting assignments from Circus. So I shot him in 1980 when Eric first joined the band. And then when Vinny joined the band, they took the makeup off. I was one of the first photographers to shoot them in my studio a block away from Madison Square Garden where I got arrested.
Wow.
And then I became their photographer for the whole decade, And I still work with them, but I was like their guy, did all the tour books, did the pictures with the playmates that were in that one tour book they did, and
Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
Because the book has a lot of non-makeup KISS pictures in it, but it has that one ace picture from like 77.
Yeah,
is that your picture?
That's when I got arrested selling that one. Yeah.
Wow. And do you have other makeup pictures from that era? Or
not in the book. The book was more on the 80s.
Right.
And it talks about the early years and my stories and my trials and tribulations. So that picture was important. That was a full page, along with my Eddie Van Halen when I first met him in '79. Right. So the early years, I have Zeppelin in there and I have Peter Frampton. But it's really about the decade that rocked. For me, it was 1980 to 1990.
Right.
So
how many books have you done?
That was my first one. It took me 8 years to make. This is my second. I learned so much from the business end of it, and kind of learned enough to start doing it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like a control freak a little bit,
I get it.
So I like things to be done the way I want them to be done without having to fight.
Yeah.
And I had a fight on my last book. Even I give everyone credit that was involved in that book, because it couldn't have got to be where it was unless I had all that input. But now I feel like I've learned enough after 8 years to be able to take everything I learned and do it myself with my girlfriend Mikkel, who's doing who started Mima Publishing.
Yeah.
MI for Mikkel, which is my girlfriend, and MA for Mark. So it's Mima, and we decided to do this Kevin Dubrow book as a passion project and to learn, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I heard. So I didn't get to see the thing you guys did online, but on my way up here from Atlanta, they were talking about it, and they said that I guess Rudy was on, and a whole bunch of other musicians were on, basically talking about Kevin. Is that?
Yeah, Kevin and Quiet Riot, but mostly Kevin and the trials and tribulations. Dee Snider, Stephen Piercy, Roxy Petrucci.
Wow.
Mitch from Steeler, Mitch Perry, who was in the band for a short time, and just telling the stories, as well as me and Ron Sobel, who was Kevin's best friend, and did all the Randy Rhoads stuff in the beginning before I got involved, and then we ended it with a world exclusive of the demo that became Party All Night. So it's called Keep On Rolling, the name of the book. And Missy had a demo cassette tape that every time Kevin had a new song, a new demo, she would go over with this cassette and he would put another song on it. So she's got 10 songs of demos that became other songs, some of them. And we decided to put like maybe 45 seconds of it on the credits and put it on it for the first time. And the lyrics are changed. They changed the name of Keep On to Party All Night, which was on the Condition Critical album. And we ran the credits on it. And I love it's my favorite part of it because I interviewed his mother when I came to the unveiling of Frankie's statue at the Rainbow. Regina, Frankie's widow, invited me to, and took the opportunity to show her the book before it was printed. And I got her blessings, and I just showed her the book, this prototype, and she just looked through it. I let the video camera roll. And it wasn't interviewing her. I just talking with her, sitting with her as she's seeing this book of her son that meant the world to her. And she made a few comments throughout the hour and a half it took us looking through the book. And I just ended the video on the credits with those precious moments from his mother saying, and there's just that. If you're not, just to watch that alone is just it's breathtaking.
Yeah, I bought some prints off your site, right? You sign them. They're perfect for like a man cave. I bought the Slippery When Wet cover. I bought the Ozzy with him ironing. I bought the Guns N' Roses one where Axl's doing the little finger. There's great pictures. Even the postcards that you got were really cool. It's got a really cool Dave Meniketti postcard I got that I can find anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's not the original, which is cool.
Yeah. So just from here, I understand you started just taking pictures when you were a kid in high school and figured out a way to make a living off of it. That's amazing.
A little bit of timing, right?
With some help with Kiss, get me arrested.
Sure, absolutely.
And I remember mentioning to baby, they put a speech between. And I was telling him the story, and it was Mark. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I became a photographer because of that. He goes, well, and he kept going on, and I don't know if he was serious or he was kidding or was just pushing me. And I said, and I remember Tommy was putting the makeup on, and he's going like, giving him the look, like leave him alone, And I'm like, well, then I said, I wouldn't have been your photographer to capture and give you all these other images if I didn't get arrested that night and be your photographer.
No, absolutely.
Because I wouldn't have went to circus and I wouldn't have created. Who knows? I mean, I had a lot of stamina, and I wanted to be a rock and roll photographer, but I didn't really know. I just kind of was 17 years old.
No, I think it's awesome. I think this is an amazing story. One of the things that I want to ask you is there one picture that sticks out in your mind? I mean, you've obviously taken thousands, but is there one picture you're like, holy crap, I got that picture?
I just always go back to that picture of Ozzy in the bathtub.
Yeah.
With a cigar.
Oh, no, I've seen that one. Yes, yeah. Okay. Wow. I mean, so tell us about that one. What led up to that?
I was doing a photo shoot for Circus Magazine for the cover. That was the shoot that ended up being him with the pink tutu. And that was the same day. But, Sharon let me in and he goes, oh, Ozzy's taking a bath. And I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, but come on and meet him. And I met him in the bath. He had bubbles in there and everything. I said, hey. And I said, wait a minute. I'll be right back. And I came back with a bottle of champagne and a cigar. And he didn't, Sharon just said, go for it,
Yeah.
And so we created that photo just out of that quick meeting. And then he got out and we did other photos.
I mean, this is one of those stories like the movie Rockstar.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're doing something for fun and then it winds up being, a career. And I mean, to me, that's epically amazing. so I of course
Oh, Almost Famous. You're talking about.
Almost Famous.
Almost Famous.
Rockstar.
Well, Rockstar was similar. Yeah,
Yeah,
Almost
that's true.
Famous though. Yes, because he just called.
Journalist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he called Rolling Stone and was like, "Let me do." I don't know how real that is or not, but I know it's
No, that was supposed to be Cameron
Cameron
Crowe.
Crowe, right? Yeah, I don't know what was embellished, but
Oh yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
But
I have plans for a similar screenplay.
do you really?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, that to me that would kick ass. I love those kind of things, especially when they're real.
Yeah.
It shows that somebody worked real hard at something.
Now, do you have a book in your decade of the '90s? Like, you got pictures of Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, all those guys?
I did photo sessions with Alice in Chains. I never shot Nirvana, but I did all the other bands. But
Yeah.
I never really connected because they never connected with photography. You know,
Yeah.
they knew they had to take photos for magazines,
Yeah.
but they didn't embrace.
Because it wasn't fun, right?
Yeah, they didn't. They just knew they had to do it. And you know, my thing is, I like to hang out and take it.
Yeah.
And so it didn't work for me. So then I went from that for a few years. Then Kiss actually went back in '96.
Yeah.
And at that same time, Skid Row was still happening. And I was doing their videos, Roadkill, and
Yeah.
I was doing all their videos on the road, taking pictures. So they were still peaking, you know, till 92-ish. So in '96, they came back and they did that Detroit show. And I was hired to do that and started doing that for a while. Not the whole tour, but here and there. And at the same point, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys were just came out of the box.
Yeah.
And my assistant said, my office manager said, you should shoot them and get them in the teen mags. You can make some money, you know?
Yeah.
I said, if you can set it up, fine. So we set it up. I did one of the first shoots with both of them and started getting into the teen mags. I was working for Bravo magazine, doing all the pop stars. And then I started doing Christina Aguilera and then Gwen Stefani and all that. So they were kind of like the new rock stars from like the 80s.
Yeah,
They liked image.
Yeah.
So I gravitated to people that have image, you know.
Yeah,
and so I was Christina Aguilera's photographer. I did an album cover for her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Gwen Stefani, I did an album cover for her.
Right, yes.
Lil Kim, I started shooting Usher and Chris Brown and all the pop and all those guys, which no one even knows about. And eventually, when I can breathe, I'll do a book on just that.
It's on your Wikipedia page.
Oh,
Every one of your it's got so
Isn't
many,
it?
and as we were reading them, and like, yeah, I mean, we knew about the stuff that you wrote about, and we
Right.
knew about, but the new stuff, we were like, holy crap, Gwen Stefani! I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So were you basically saying there that the rock bands of the '90s didn't embrace being a rock star?
Yeah, when then I kind of boasted that I did Stay Hungry and Slippery When Wet, they kind of looked at me like, why are you shooting us then? You know? So I had to hide it, like, you know, almost had to like put it all aside and like I couldn't even showboat that stuff anymore.
That's crazy when you think this is iconic. For those of you guys that don't know, you shot that.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things that, you know, every one of us, especially our age,
Hell yeah.
we've all seen this.
Hell
and we
yeah.
all know about it because they took it off the cover.
And
Because
put that
it's too
crappy
good.
cover on.
Because it's too good. That's why.
Yeah.
And okay, we're good. So all right, so where can people get the new book?
TheDecadeThatRocked.com.
TheDecadeThatRocked.com, and is it a limited release or is
Well,
it?
we only printed. We did a fundraiser to get to do it because there really wasn't a budget for it. So we printed 400. So we have about 100 left, and we're selling them right
Holy
now.
crap!
And you know, the next step is to do it again. But you know, so right now for this first run, we get them while you can.
That's great.
Absolutely, it's been an honor to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, brothers.
Obviously, we have sat and looked at your work our whole lives.
Our whole lives.
I mean, I can't tell you how many
He's
circus
still buying
magazines,
circus magazines.
Hip Parader,
Right on.
Faces.
Yeah,
I mean, you've
yeah.
done them all.
All right.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.
All right.
Mark, we do appreciate it. All right, 3, 2, 1, peace.